What is it to feel and be alive? Some could argue, in a broad sense, to feel things, both physical and mental, would mean one is truly being. But that includes feelings of pain and suffering, and most of us have a threshold in terms of how much we can tolerate. But the story I'm about to tell you about, well, let's just say some of the characters test the limits. Ichi the Killer is a late 90s violent crime thriller full of action, mystery, and a shit ton of gore. Every few pages you think, it can't get much worse, can it? But it does. Set predominantly in Japan's late 90s red light and entertainment district Kabukicho in Shinjuku, Ichi the Killer centers around a cat and mouse game between Ichi, an emotionally disturbed childlike serial killer taking down Yakuza members with a roundhouse kick to the head, and Kakihara, a sadomasochistic Yakuza badass on a quest for vengeance for the murder of his own boss. The manga was written by Hideo Yamamoto between 1998 and 2001 and later adapted into a live-action film by the same name by director Takashi Miike, or Mike. This video will mainly focus on the original manga. The basic premise is as follows. A group of criminals and junkies led by an old man known as Ji-san plan to kill Yakuza members, starting with the boss of the Anjo clan, who was killed by Ichi in the very beginning of the story. Kakihara discovers an immaculate crime scene the morning after the attack and begins to suspect and chase leads on a suspected kidnapping. However, as the group psychologically manipulate Ichi into massacring other Yakuza members, Kakihara begins his hunt for Ichi. That's the main plot in a nutshell, but the way it's delivered is a unique blend of psychological and bodily horror with a dash of detective mystery. The author and artist Hideo Yamamoto wastes no time dropping us into the seedy criminal underbelly of Tokyo from the get-go, and we get exposed to some pretty disturbing stuff early on. But it's not just gore for the sake of gore. Every character in here and every scene makes sense in this twisted, exaggerated world, and as absurd as some panels are, Yamamoto's art and storytelling makes everything feel believable. This manga knows its readers, and Yamamoto knows how to blend the shock of over-the-top body horror with suspense and dialogue. Yamamoto's characters drive the story into these gut-wrenching situations because of who they are. Every scene serves to push the story forward and tells us that these people are psychologically damaged. One of the most entertaining characters in this manga is easily Kakihara, a member/head of the Anjo clan. Kakihara loves torture and pain, and having it done to him gives him the greatest pleasure. But that's not to say he doesn't seem to love torturing others, as that's what he does for most of the story. Seeing Kakihara's snake-like slit mouth and his cold and intimidating interactions with other characters is alluring, and we as the reader fear his unpredictable nature as we flip the pages. His goal and motivation is to seek the revenge of his boss, but along the way it just seems he's looking to experience the most ultimate pain he can, which he believes is suffering inflicted by Ichi. That brings us on to the titular character Ichi. Ichi tries to be a kind and upstanding member of society, but years of traumatic bullying prevent him from leading a normal life. He's adept at martial arts and is taken advantage of by Ji-san to be an ultimate killing machine. Ji-san leads Ichi to believe the acts he's committing are justified, and that the people he's taking out are like the people that bullied him. He's a very psychologically damaged protagonist and is used as more of a pawn in the story, rather than being someone who drives the plot. He's presented both as a victim being controlled by Ji-san and a villain harming innocent people due to his lack of control. As many followers of the manga discuss, Kakihara is the ultimate masochist, seeking pain to be inflicted upon him, and Ichi is the ultimate sadist, seeking to inflict pain on others. Whilst they have this contrast, the negative forces in this warped depiction of Tokyo bring out the worst in these characters, and going through this manga we see just how extreme it truly gets. When you take away the shock value of some of the torture scenes, at its core, Ichi the Killer is a story of characters desperately searching to fill a void in their lives with the only ways they know how, and it's often destructive. Substance abuse is a topic brought up in this manga, with characters having to get their fix. For Kakihara, this is the need to be tortured and feel pain, and for Ichi, it's his desire to cause pain. Whilst Kakihara fully immerses himself in this unnatural practice, Ichi always feels guilt whenever he indulges in acts of violence. When these characters aren't able to fulfill their desires, they express the sadness and longing. They always resolve to searching for their next high, with Kakihara in a full-blown acceptance, and Ichi in a struggle-filled reluctance. Yamamoto's exaggerated world is full of characters that believe the ends justify the means of their actions, and the mangaka isn't afraid of showing us just how graphic and violent that can be. The mangaka masterfully crafts suspense and keeps us reading, wanting to find out just how absurd and deviant this manga can get. This is a no-holds-barred thriller that keeps you wanting to know more. The human aspects of these characters express that same rawness and make us emotionally invested in both Kakihara's side and Ichi's side. The story is but one aspect. Hideo Yamamoto's artwork is legendary, with panels feeling real but also unreal simultaneously. The shading and lighting give spaces a 3D nature and places feel like they exist in our world. The character shading and design on some of the characters in this manga feel immersive to the point where you forget forget you're reading a black, white and grey comic. The art is beautifully crafted to suit the medium of a black and white manga, and it only adds to the bleak and desperate atmosphere. Yamamoto lets his characters and expressions tell its story, and there's always a clear focus when viewing the panels, making reading this manga feel fluid. Overall, this manga is definitely not for the faint-hearted and those squeamish. There are pages you'd think that are unnecessary for the mangaka to leave in, but they all serve to tell us this raw tale. No stone is left unturned in the way Ichi the Killer shocks us, and it ultimately explores the darkest depths of human imagination. Hideo Yamamoto explores psychological horror in a deeper capacity in his other well-known manga, Homunculus, which is equally as disturbing, albeit less gore-filled. Both are thrilling reads, and I strongly recommend them if you want to see something sick and twisted with a rollercoaster storyline. Finally, again, I'd like to add that there's a 2001 movie version of Ichi the Killer directed by Takashi Miike that is 100% worth your time. And with that, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and bell icon to get future updates on videos, and leaving a like on the video is also much appreciated.